Oh, that's terrible.
Hi, Steve.
Okay. Judy, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Great.
Right. Hi, Jillian.
Hey, everyone.
Okay. So what's the secret of not looking like a corpse on these things?
Tim, you need to get a ring light. It's like
Better
this
lighting.
circular light you put above your computer, and it enhances your complexion on Zoom calls.
I'm really sorry to say I have one.
Oh, really?
Oops.
But is it turned on?
Well, I think you look great, Tim.
Well, thanks. Okay, I'll just take that and run with it. So we've got 4 of us so far. 4 members. How are you, Steve? Are you back home?
I just got home like 2 minutes ago.
Ah,
Had a lot of time to freshen up and
No, right. They're working on the roads everywhere with delays, and it's crazy.
Well, I'm glad to see you here. I think most of what we have is just status stuff, but we've got a couple of interesting things to talk about. We'll wait for a little bit. Miss Chandler, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
So far, so good.
Yeah, I just got in from 8 hours of landscape work on my house, which I love. I love playing in the dirt. So it's been a good day.
Okay.
Have you heard from anyone, Tim?
What's that?
Have you heard from anyone that says they're not coming or coming?
No, I haven't.
David emailed to say that he wouldn't be on tonight.
Really?
Yeah,
I
he
do-
emailed Alicia. He said he was going to reach out to you, Tim. It must not have made it through in that case.
Okay, I should be up and normalized on my email now. I had about a 2.5 day dead spell. Let's see.
Oh, good. Now we have a quorum.
There we go. We have our quorum.
Can you see me? Not sure if I have my,
You're good.
well, I can just work.
Excuse me.
$6:05.
Yep. We should probably get going. Just a second here.
And Tim, I'm trying to promote Robin to a panelist. It doesn't seem like it's going through though.
Huh.
There she is.
There she is.
Okay.
I don't see her. I see Cheryl, but I don't see Robin.
Okay.
Oh, there she is.
My computer is not cooperating today.
Maybe it's the weather.
It's thundering outside. Yay. Bravo.
All right. Let me get my agenda up here. Let's go ahead and call to order the June 24, 2024 meeting of the Open Space Advisory Committee. Present at this time are myself, Tim Beeson, Judy Karnak, Cheryl Klein, Robin Kovats, Nancy Wilson, and Steve Bremner as members, and then Jillian Rossi from city staff, and Judith Chandler as our council representative, council liaison. So, going through the usual stuff on the agenda, there is now one opening for an alternate member, and
About that. I thought we only had 2 alternates, but we have 3. Most committees only have 2.
I believe we have 3.
We've had 3 for a long time.
Okay, if I can stop joking here. The first thing we have is an approval of a lot of minutes. And let's see who has any questions or comments. First, on the revised draft from OSAC meeting in February. Anybody spend hours on that, considering it?
I read it.
Okay, no comments. Everybody in favor of, well, somebody make a motion to accept that.
I make a motion to accept the February minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye, jump up and down. Okay, it looks like 5 of us. Steve, are you accepting the minutes?
Yeah, I do. I didn't think I was a voting member.
I thought we already. No, that's right. You're the alternate.
1, 2, 3,
You're
4,
one of the
5.
2 alternates. I'm sorry, Steve. Okay. Anyway, we do have a quorum. We should probably. I don't know. Do we generally, Nancy, you can answer this. Do we generally promote alternates to fill the 7 voting members?
Only if you don't have a quorum, I believe.
Right.
Okay, then we'll leave it as is. All right, so the next approval of minutes is the draft OSAC minutes from March 25, 2024. We had a lot of minutes that weren't provided at the time of the April meeting. So does anybody have any comments on those? I think I might have had one, actually. Let me go in here and take a look real quick. Okay, it doesn't much matter. So can I hear a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion to accept the March minutes.
Okay, everyone in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. And we have 5 voting members, and all 5 are voting for. All right. Next is going to be the draft OSAC minutes from April 22nd, 2024. Does anybody have any comments on that? Can I have a motion for accepting the minutes on that? Nancy?
I'll
I
se-
move to approve the minutes from 4/22/24 as
Do
written.
we have a second? Judith, seconds. Everybody in favor, raise your right hand. And we have the 5 voting members accepting that. Next item is the draft OSAC minutes from the 5/11/24 Eagle Mountain hike. That was kind of fun with Steve, Cheryl, and I. Anyway, does anybody have any comments on that? I think we're going to take that up a little later on in the evening to talk about that a bit more. Okay, there are no comments. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes on that?
I'll make-
It's got to
Okay.
be one of the 3 that were there, doesn't it?
I move that we accept the minutes from 5/11 Eagle Mountain hike.
Well, so do we have Steve, even though he's an alternate, he was the only one there other than Tim?
So can he second it?
No, Cheryl and I.
Oh,
I made the
yeah,
motion.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Well, I'll second it just
Okay.
to. I don't think anybody's going to concern themselves about this. So, everybody in favor of accepting the minutes, please raise your hand, right hand. And I think you can accept the minutes even if you weren't there. I'm not sure how that works, but anyway, we have the 2 full members who were there voting to accept the minutes, and we had another third accepting it anyway. So one way or the other, we've accepted the minutes on that. We need a Robert's Rules of Order on an AI program out there. Anyway, next item is the draft OSAC minutes from 5/18/24 on the Bill Bauer Trail Workday. Nancy?
I'd move to approve the minutes of Bill Bauer Trail Workday 5/18/24.
Okay, do we have a second on that from there? Who was there? Somebody who was there? Cheryl?
I'll second
Okay.
it.
Okay, everybody who wishes to approve the minutes on that, please raise your hand. And we have everybody that was there raising their hand. And I'm going to say all 5 of us are raising our hands. So it's a unanimous acceptance on that. So we're done. We got through that. Agenda review and public comment.
Tim, we
Last
do
night-
have someone here to issue a public comment. I guess after the agenda review.
Yes, and last time I forgot to ask for public comments, so we'll do that after the agenda review. And I've got a couple of things on the agenda review. First, I'd like to point out that the director's comments appears as item number 2 under D. I think we decided, Jillian, that was going to go at the end of old and new business, because we're going to integrate that into the OSAC agenda. You were going to integrate your comments in as best we could, and then you were going to make any of the director's comments that we didn't cover at the end of the meeting. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah, it was last time.
Yeah, and Alicia decided to correct me by putting it back in where it went before, and I'll go through this with her again. But we'll go ahead and say that is now moved to item, and this will be kind of an oddball thing here. We'll just go ahead and move it to item number 8 under old business. Whoever's doing the meetings and the corrections. And then I have two other things. First of all, the post POST goals 10 and 11 should have been 8 and 9. Okay. I got that
What?
wrong. And the last thing I want to point out here is that I've moved the Fields Park Creek Walk to the last item on here, the second to last. And the reason is that when we get to that, we're going to have to ask Judith to leave the meeting. And the reason is that we're going to be talking about the change of a zoning change, and zoning changes are considered quasi judicial. And Judith, you should not be swayed by anything we say here tonight on that. So, okay, that's all I've got on that.
So I have a question, Tim.
Yes.
I'm not following you when you said should be 10 or 8 and 9 and 10 and 11. I don't see.
Everything there.
Oh, I see. Where post goals 10 and 11. That
Yeah.
should be what?
8 and 9.
8 and 9.
Oh, okay. Got it. I wasn't
What
following.
I did
Okay.
was just grab it out of the May meeting, forgetting that we didn't have a May meeting. So anyway.
Oh, okay.
Enough excuses. It's just 8 and 9. So, Yeah,
Tim, I have
yes,
a
Sheila.
I have a non-agenda item just to FYI.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
don't
was
know if
about
this
to
is a
get
good
to.
time or not.
This is an excellent time.
FYI only, David and Chris Jenkins have agreed to address City Council on July 16th regarding the proposed land donation with contingencies, and I just want to encourage everyone to attend that meeting, July 16th.
Yeah, thanks, Judy and Judith. And I think that Steve is going to have some comments on that. Steve, is that right?
On what was that?
Comments on the Jenkins proposal, the meeting on July 16th, and possibly the information that Ken Juray sent out.
Yes, I have a lot to comment on that.
This
With
is
the-
a non-agenda item, so this would be a good time to do it. And usually we try to keep those short, but you got to have a lot of information there to try and
Okay,
convey.
first of all, did anybody here receive the survey
Mhm.
that Jenkins sent out?
I did, and I deleted it immediately.
Oh, that survey, yeah, deleted it.
Okay, the survey was sent out. It didn't say where it was coming from, and people were led to believe it might be from the city, and the city disavowed that. They said it was not from the city. And then eventually, Jenkins came forward and admitted that it was him, and he sent a very flowery letter to City Council outlining his proposal, as well as the results of the survey, which he claims were nearly 80% in favor of the road.
In favor of what?
In favor of the COG road. Let me describe what this road is. It goes through the Midland Railroad grade on the west side of Manitou Springs. Right now, Jenkins owns about 15 acres, and he's got it all padlocked and fenced off so that people can't go through. A couple of years ago, he didn't have it padlocked, and people would hike through there or walk their dogs, or it's a very nice path. It's a perfect path for open space. Now, what Jenkins is proposing is to build a road that would go from somewhere near Adventures West, or that roundabout over there, climb up, go through Walton's property, go along the Midland Railroad grade, and then presumably dump out at the stables. Now, he didn't mention parking lot, but that's, the hidden agenda, I'm sure. He didn't mention the cog railway or the Broadmoor, which I'm convinced personally that they are in collusion on this, because there's nothing in it for the Jenkins. He's pretending like, oh, we want to build this road and we want the city to pay for it, and it's going to help for fire protection. It's going to provide an alternative outlet for people that live in that neighborhood. Pilot Knob, Illinois Avenue, Mesa Avenue, all those areas up in there. Now, there's been last week a community meeting where 20 people showed up from around Ruxton Avenue, Pilot Knob. There was even somebody that came from High Street. And they were 100% against this road. As you can imagine, the road is going to bring more cars to Ruxton Avenue. We don't need more cars. The hidden agenda of the parking lot would bring more cars, which we don't want. It will disrupt the neighborhood by making another heavily trafficked road going right around Pilot Knob, Illinois Avenue, Mesa Avenue, through there. So I don't know where, or if that 80% in favor of the road, but the survey itself, if you've seen the survey,
Yeah,
It's-
can we move this along, Steve? Because we're not going to be able to make a decision on that anyway
Here's
during
what,
this.
here's what I would like to have OSAC do. I would like it as open space. We want that property. It's a beautiful piece of property. It would be connectivity for a trail all the way around Manitou Springs. And so what I would like to do is have OSAC put together a proposal that we would be willing to buy that property. Now, Ken Giray has gone ahead and put this together, what the proposal would look like. And that's what I've been trying to email to you, Tim. I don't know if you have it now or not.
Yeah, I do have it, and
Okay.
I think we will take it up in the July meeting.
Okay, because Jenkins now has agreed to have a July 16th public meeting, which I'm sure will be heavily frequented by people at Manitou Springs. And I hope that the citizenry has a chance to speak up and ask questions. Because like I said, the unanswered questions are, what is the COG's involvement in this? Is there a parking lot? And who's going to pay for the road? Okay, that's all I've got.
Okay,
May I
thanks.
just
Thanks, Steve.
piggyback with
And,
Liz? Can I
and
just
I
say something?
just a second, please. I apologize for rushing you there, Steve. But we can't make a decision on this anyway tonight. So
Right.
we have a lot of time that we're going to have to absorb this. Okay. Yes,
Who's-
Judith.
I
Who's
just
hosting
wanted
that
to
meeting?
say that, and this is public knowledge because it was brought up in last Tuesday's city council meeting, was that Chris and Dave Jenkins requested an executive session with council to review this proposal. And council unanimously declined an executive session and said they were welcome to come to an open meeting to which the public should be involved. And there were several citizens who requested a minimum of 1 to 2 weeks advance notice for this meeting, which is why it is July 16th. So I just wanted to really encourage everyone to come and listen to their presentation. And certainly everyone from OSAC, hopefully you can come and it will better inform, your conversations afterwards. Thank you.
Right.
Will that meeting be on Zoom?
It will. You can zoom in.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate that. All right, any other
Yeah, we have someone
non-agenda items?
So I'm gonna allow Camille to talk. She is in the lobby. So Camille, you should be live now.
Okay, can you hear me, Jillian?
Yep.
Okay, super. Thanks all for my opportunity to be here. Thank you for what you do. And I really want to give a kudos, although this wasn't the reason for my being here today, to what the OSAC did to the Ute Trail. I would say the end of 2023, in taking care of all the water damage, the extreme water damage that was happening. Is just amazing, all the work that was done on that. And myself, as a regular hiker in the area, really appreciate that. What I want to bring up is I had sent to First Denise, who connected me with Jillian, several pictures that I took right after and Jillian showing the pictures now, right after I'll call it a one wheel. Do you guys know what those are? I think I'm referring to them correctly.
Yep.
Like the big wheel skateboard that I've been encountered and almost run over by twice now, by two reckless ones, but mainly the damage that they're doing to the trails, in that the trails are steep for one wheels or skateboarders, etc. So when they put the brakes on, they really make some big gashes in the trails. And each time I took the pictures right after it happened, so I know it was from them and not another type of vehicle. The first time I was almost run over by a young man whose father was following him on another one wheel on the Iron Mountain. when I noted the big gashes in the trail. And then the second time was just this last week when a guy almost ran me over on the Intamin and then noted the damage that he was doing to the trails. I noted on our signs that, well, for instance, at the head of Pawnee anyway, that it says nothing about motorized, or I don't know how to identify this type of vehicle, but I put in a request that we not allow them on our dirt mountain trails, being that they are doing this kind of damage, as well as they're not respecting us as a hikers. I've got 2 instances that I can share that has occurred just recently. We have paved which I'm unhappy about, but we have paved the creek walk, I thought, for these kind of vehicles, electric bicycles, strollers, and I can't go on the pavement because my body responds badly to concrete. So I prefer dirt. And if these guys are allowed on our dirt and going to wear it out, I don't think that that's a very welcome cause. So I'm hoping that you all will examine this and would be open to your suggestions if you're able to comment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Camille. Jillian, do we have any rules about this stuff yet?
So we don't have any language prohibiting e-bikes from our soft surface trail system. Now that is depending on whether or not Manitou Springs classifies e-bikes as a motorized vehicle, which I haven't found any language on at this point. I do know Colorado Springs is in the middle of a very extensive e-bike survey pilot program process, and they do allow, I believe it's class 2 on their soft surface trail systems, and then do I have that wrong, Nancy? Is it class 1? The classes always trip me up, but they do allow one class of e-bike on soft surface trails, and then other e-bikes are allowed on their hard surface urban trails.
Well, one way out that we have is that Palmer Land Trust in their conservation easement does not allow motorized vehicles of any kind on those properties.
Yay. May I also add, excuse me, Tim, I hope I didn't interrupt you just now.
No, not at all.
Good deal. I'd like to point out that it appears that these are making those bigger ruts because all the weight of, and I don't know how heavy these one-wheelers are, but the weight of the rider is in one spot, as opposed to what I would see as an electric bike and my being a mountain biker. Your weight is dispersed between 2 wheels and, the length between it. So I think that's why these one-wheelers, if that's what they're called, are doing such damage, because all that weight is right there. And when they're hitting the brakes on those downhills, which I saw where they were a lot, it's really doing great damage. So I love that perhaps our saving grace is the Palmer Lake Trust? Am I
The
saying that
Palmer
right?
Land Conservancy,
Got it.
which both Iron Mountain, Red Mountain, and Black Canyon are part of. So,
What about
yes,
the
Nancy.
sorry.
Yeah, well, first of all, just a technical thing. I think Camille needs to identify herself by giving her first name, last name, and address.
Thank you. Yes, please do.
Certainly, Nancy. Sorry about that. So my name is Camille, Camille. Last name Lipinski, spelled L-I-P as in Peter, I-N-S-K-I. And my address is 902 High Road here in Manitou.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
Camille.
you.
And
Thank you.
I really appreciate your comments, and they're very timely because I just spent some time today filling out the Colorado Springs e-bike survey, and I learned a lot by just filling out the survey. First of all, Tim, we do have rules about, and we passed it when Shannon was still the chair, and at that time we agreed that we would follow the e-bike rules of El Paso County, that we wanted to be in sync with them. And that was that there were no e-bikes, period, on rough surface trails on our trails. They could be on what we call urban trails like Creek Walk and Midland Trail and that kind of thing. But at that time, we voted not to allow any e-bikes on our soft surface trails. So you can go back. I can't tell you exactly when we adopted that, but that's what we said at that time. The other thing that I learned today is that Colorado Springs, and because we want to cooperate with contiguous trail systems, has classified motorized vehicles as e-bikes, one-wheels, skateboards, almost anything with any type of added momentum other than your own body. So if we were to follow suit with what they're doing right now, these one wheels would be considered motorized vehicles and not allowed. Now, right now, a class 1 e-bike, their debate is whether to allow a class 1 e-bike on soft surface trails. That's one of their alternatives. And class 1 and 2 e-bikes both on urban trails, hard surface urban trails. So it remains to be seen what comes out of their current survey. I'd urge people, if you can find it, to go to Colorado Springs website, look for their e-bike survey under Parks and Rec. And
I think we should take this up as a agenda item for next month and get some information together, and so people can.
Yeah. In the meantime, take a look at it. You learn a lot.
Steve.
Yeah, and I would recommend piggybacking on whatever Colorado Springs decides. That'll make it easy. I'm pretty sure that e-bikes are not going to be allowed on single track trails. They're going to be allowed on the paved trails, maybe the Santa Fe Trail, but not in Red Rocks Open.
Camille, it sounds like you're going to win this one.
You know what? I'm looking up classes on e-bikes, and I don't see that. Are they by weight? Is that why
let's not go over all that right now.
Okay.
Okay. If you go to that site, Robin, it'll explain the difference.
Yeah.
If you go to their survey, it'll explain the difference.
Shall I dismiss myself? And I'm glad to hear that we're looking pro on that.
Well, we'll just say thank you very much, and we'll take this up in our July meeting.
Excellent. You guys, thank you so much for all that you do. Happy summertime. Take care. Bye-bye.
I got to write that down so I don't forget it. Okay. Of course, that'll be in the minutes if we get them. Anyway, I think we can move on. Do we have anybody else waiting to make comments? Okay, thanks. Well, that was great. A lot of information there. I'm sure the one thing I will say is that I'm sure the issue with the Jenkins property is not going to be resolved in a hurry. That's just not in the cards. Okay, we now have the, we haven't taken up the agenda review of the 2 Parab minutes, 2 Parab meetings that we didn't have minutes on last time. Does anybody have any comments on either of those? Okay, can we take care of that in one vote here? Does anybody want to make anything?
I don't think there's anything to vote on.
There's not anything to vote on there. We don't have any say in that anyway.
Well, why do we keep getting these? Is there some reason for that?
What's that?
I'm always wondering why we are getting and supposed to be reading Parab's.
It took the place of having their liaisons attend our meeting.
Sorry,
we used to have them attend our meeting, and that took a lot of time.
Oh,
It's like a,
Plus there used to be everything in their package used to fit and go into there too. So this is an improvement, Judith.
okay.
It doesn't look like it, but this is an improvement. And we should look that over because there are dovetails that we want to be aware of on that. Great. Then we're on to our business. Hey, this is great. Creek Walk Phase 6. Judy, Nancy, anything? What do you want to say on that? I don't think that much has changed since our last
No,
meeting.
there still hasn't been, as far as I know, a meeting. I mean, I haven't been called. Nancy, you haven't been called. So we haven't heard anything about a meeting with the contractor. We did have that general meeting that most of us went to, that open meeting at the town hall. I thought that was nice. I thought it
Yeah,
went,
that was interesting.
yeah, really good. Also, that was it that day, Jillian? Was it just before?
I think it was the day before.
I met Jillian out there on the site, and we walked from the bridge down a ways on Serpentine Drive, looked at it, sort of, Jillian had a good idea of what the proposal looked like, and it's going to be hard. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt it's going to be expensive. There was a proposal from Danu about that, about a spot, and I said, here's my input on this idea. She wanted to do a little park and picnicky thing and build a bridge across the creek. And I just said, having had all this terrible experience with Rainbow Falls with the homeless, I thought those, and actually for the camps that we saw on the Bill Bauer Trail when we first walked it, I thought, I think we better wait on that. It's just not a good time to be doing that. I don't think that's healthy. And then we talked about some other things. There's a little bit of space on this other side of the road from where we were on the bridge, below the bridge, excuse me, that may give the contractors some help in changing a little bit the bend of the street that would give a little more margin of safety to the whole project. I don't know that. It was just that we were looking and we thought, well, that might work. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of work. And I know there's been a lot of criticism about what El Paso County has done as far as Rainbow Falls goes. But I have been talking to Teresa Odell, and she feels like they're up against a real problem in safety. They can't park down there. They can't have people walking down there because it's so complicated and dangerous because it's so narrow. So that's where this whole thing with the shuttle and the $20 gets you your car in to park and gets you the shuttle ride up and down. And they're in a jam, and that plus not being able to find some stewards to be there on the weekends really was holding up the opening. And now that they've got it open, Craig and I have not had a chance to go down there and try this whole thing out. But there's a lot of concern about safety, I will say
So
that.
they do have that open right now, Judith.
I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't know about Sunday, maybe Sunday, I'm not sure.
Well, that's worth taking a walk down there and checking it out.
Well, you can't walk. I mean, that's the whole idea, is keep people from walking. That's why they have the shuttle and the parking up.
Oh, they're doing the shuttle now.
Yes, yes.
And Greg
So, Judith,
Wellen
we
is
can't walk up
managing it?
there? I mean,
Well,
if
I
we
don't
live
know
here,
if
we
you
can't walk
can.
up there?
I don't know if you can't. All I'm saying to you is the idea is for tourists is that they park at Higginbotham Flats, one car, no matter how many people it is, $20, no matter how long you stay, you get on the shuttle, you get dropped off the road. So you're not walking down or being on the road. They go in and drop everybody. And then the shuttle will pick people up and take them back up to their cars. That's the current modus operandi for that. They don't want people walking down Serpentine Drive. It's just too narrow with all the curves in it. People drive safely or they don't.
Okay.
Kids were all over the road. So it was difficult. And they had to make the best decision they could with what they had. So I think a lot of things may get better once we
Well,
get the Section 6
That's
done.
not really Serpentine Drive. That's not really phase 6.
Well, I understand that, but
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
all the problems that have been
It's
that
all
they deal with.
connected.
Yes,
It's
I
all-
think they are. I think they are.
Any other comments on that?
I'm gonna
Thank
walk
you.
up there some weekend and see if they let me
Yeah,
in.
same here.
That's-
We should try it. I'm up for that.
We ought to charge it in mass.
This is this is unrelated to Serpentine, I'm sorry, but in the same conversation with Rainbow Falls, I've had a number, quite a few phone calls, complaints about the signage that's up there at Rainbow Falls that indicates the association with Adventures Out West. There's many residents who want that sign taken down. So we'll see what happens. So just I'll keep you in the loop.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to have a question about signage too coming up, but I'll wait till the Iron Mountain stuff. Anything else on that? Can we move along to the Bill Bauer Trail? Nancy, you want to give an overview of what we found up there and next steps? I think this is. I think this is the first meeting we've had since our workday up there. Is that right?
I think so too.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Well, several of us met up there on that Saturday for the workday and brought our nippers and clippers and saws, and basically once again kind of thrashed our way or bushwhacked our way down down on the trail, and just kind of clipped a little bit as we went, just to try to clear a little bit of a path so that you could even look at what potential trail layouts might be and what some of the obstacles would be to actually putting in a trail there that was multi-use kind of thing. And the conclusion we came to was that number one, we've got to kind of take this in phases. And this was the very, very first preliminary phase, is getting more people out there looking at it. And number two, because of this very narrow pinch point, which was even hard, Tim knew better than anybody else exactly what the geo coordinates were, where that pinch point is. And the hope that that will be resolved by a donation of property right there by Mr. Rose, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That could resolve that issue. So we kind of came to the conclusion that there wasn't a whole lot more we could do, or it wouldn't be smart to spend a whole lot more time on it pending his respective donation that would solve the pinch point problem. It doesn't mean that there couldn't still be a trail down there, even if he doesn't donate some land to us, because otherwise we have access, but it would really determine the alignment of the trail, and it would make the alignment of the trail much more difficult.
Yeah, the other issue there is it's actually not just the pinch point there. It's the whole western boundary of that particular lot is much higher up on the side of the canyon than we anticipated. So that whole, there's no room to maneuver there without you're very close to other people's property. Let me put it that way. So I went and talked to Larry Rose, and he was as charitable as he always is, in the sense that I explained the situation. I explained where what was happening. We were being pushed so far up on the eastern side. And I said, are you really, would you even consider still giving us enough property so that we have property on the other side of the creek. And we went out and we walked his properties and what he's doing. And he said, I really don't see the problem with that. As long as my lots where I'm going to build, the 2 lots he wants to build, have property going all the way down almost to the creek. He said that's the only thing that gives these properties value. And if at that point they're on a developed trail, that's fine by us. So, in other words, he said yes, he's going to give us that property to do that, which is very generous. And the only problem now is to get him moving, and the fact that our planning commission or our planning board is so short-staffed and has so many new faces. I talked to Jeff Rolenberg, is that it?
You mean Fred?
Fred Rolenberg. Yeah, Roland something.
Roland Hagen.
Roland Hagen. And said, I'm not trying to affect the outcome of this, whether you're going to approve that or not. But if possible, could you hand Mr. Rose off to a planner that's got some experience in this area? And he's a really nice guy. He seemed to be accepting of that idea. So we'll see. As far as I know, Mr. Rose still hasn't done anything on that, but that's where we're at now. Hey, Cheryl, you there? You're hiding out.
I think the other kind of, this wasn't a formal decision, but our strategy at this point is to wait and see that we have plenty of other fish to fry in the meantime with Black Canyon and all of that.
Yeah. Well, there's something that will come up on the Black Canyon too. We'll wait till we get there. Cheryl, did you have anything you wanted to say about our day in the woods?
Well, let me tell you what I was doing first. I'm searching for my charger before I get cut off here. But no, I mean, I'm glad I got to be there, and yeah, that would be a great donation to help with that pinch point. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
So I'm going to get off and look for my charger.
Okay, go for
in
it.
my car. I'll be right back.
Okay. Anybody else with comments about that, about the Bilbower Trail? Okay, let's move it along. And we're to Black Canyon. Okay, let's see. Black Canyon. Well, obviously, we've closed on the Westside LLC property. So that's a fantastic piece of property, and we should all be happy and proud of that. And let's see a few things. We've contacted I'm sorry, missing his name, Steve Myers at Kimley Horn, and he and his organization are in the process of creating what we're calling a concept document, which is going to lay out the beginnings of the process that's going to be used to develop the Black Canyon property. And develop means to build trails on that property. And that will entail, so right now, what we've got an agreement with Kimley Horn for is that we're going to pay them the maximum that we can pay them without having to concern ourselves with anybody else's approval, and that's $4,999. And if you remember, Kimley Horn was kind of on the bad list with Denise and also with Mayor Graham. And this is going to give them a little bit of a chance to rehabilitate themselves and also to convince all of us that they've got the talent and the know-how to work with us on that project. I think they do. Jillian and Nancy have also met with them, and I think they have the same feeling. We'll know a lot more after we get the document that we're asking for. One of the things that we need to do tonight is to vote to spend $4,999 on a product from Kimley Horn that will basically be the beginning of both the alignment and the master plan that we'll be using to continue the work on the Black Canyon. Nancy, you want to say anything?
Sure.
I'm sure you do.
Well, just a couple, by way of history, just to remind people that this is a group that Tim and I met with when we were at the state open space alliance meeting in Aspen or Snowmass. And we were impressed with what they had to say at this time. And also just a reminder that the city's unhappiness with this organization is a completely different department of what we're talking about. They worked with the city on the Ruxton Avenue proposal. It wasn't even the same people who do trail alignments and master plans for open spaces and that kind of thing. The organization is very big. They have different departments. We're working with a completely different department than the department that the city's been involved with in the past. And I think in getting the ball rolling on Black Canyon, there are several things we need. We first of all need kind of a good map of the area, the dimensions, all that. If we are to apply for GOCO grants or any other kind of grants, we need a detailed description of that property, what's on it, that kind of thing. Now, a lot of that is covered by the conservation easement that the Palmer Land Trust did in preparation for the money they gave us to buy the property, or actually in preparation for the conservation easement that's on the property. But anyway, we need a start. One of the things Tim and I talked about, and we talked about with them, is that a master plan for an open space is a very, very expensive undertaking. In the past, we've paid over $50,000 for the master plan for Red Mountain and the master plan for Iron Mountain. And it includes things like, a survey of noxious weeds and trails and a lot of stuff that we already have in the conservation easement for the Black Canyon. So that Black Canyon conservation easement contains things like master plans and part of a cultural survey and all that kind of stuff. So we need more of a general overview, perspective, trail alignments, kind of next step in, and so that we have something to show people. We have something to show people for public meetings. We have something to talk about as a group about kind of what our next steps are, where we want to spend money, if we want to spend money on more detailed, trail alignment, if we want to take time and apply for a GOCO planning grant. We don't even have enough material on Black Canyon right now to apply for a planning grant. So this will give us, this little less than $5,000, will give us a document, not a huge document, but a document that kind of gives us the background and gets us well on our way for being able to talk about our future plans for that open space in a way that we can use in grant applications and kind of next steps.
Yeah, I want to point out as well that Steve Myers of Kimley Horn was the one that put us onto this idea of a mini master plan provides that kind of marries to the land conservancy information, but checks all the boxes required for going after funding with the GOCO grant, for example. And that's a major savings right there if we're able to do that. Go ahead, Nancy.
Well, I would just say, I don't know if Tim, if you wanted to talk about the archaeological.
Yeah, okay, that is coming up here. We're going to vote on. We'll keep going on that.
I could just make a motion and we could discuss it. I would move to allocate $4,999 for the, I guess it's not purchase, for a agreement with
the concept document from Kimley Horn.
For a concept document on the Black Canyon open space from Kimley Horn.
Can you call for a discussion? No?
Yeah, after there's a second.
I second it.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion on that? Go ahead, Judy.
I just want to know, when you do this kind of thing, is it helpful to say we would like this done within a time frame, so we're not sitting around for a year or three waiting on them to putter around because we've been moved from 1st to 8th because we didn't set a time limit?
That's a real good point, Judy, because that has happened.
Well, I'm sure it has. I mean, it happened.
But I think we've been told that they would have,
or somebody didn't say anything.
that they would have it to us in just a matter of weeks, but we could set a date.
Yeah, I think that's
would
good.
recommend that the motion sets a date so that we can say, we're really interested in moving this forward. I mean, we've been fooling around with this and waiting on this property for a long time. Maybe it would help us to get down the road with it, at least motivated to be done.
Okay,
Say a month?
I'd amend my motion to say, concept document on or before August 15th.
That's 6
That works.
weeks.
Well, does that seem reasonable in your experience with this kind of thing? I don't know what the time frame should look like.
I think that's plenty of time.
This is not going to be a 20-page document.
Okay.
This is going to be a very short document with some maps and potential layout.
Do I need to second the amendment? I will.
Yeah, please do.
I'll second the amendment that Nancy made, adding on or before 8/15/24.
Okay. Any other conversation about this? I think it's a good deal, folks. Let's go ahead and vote on this, and then we can go off to go down the rabbit hole on the archaeological stuff, which is going to be kind of interesting. Everybody in favor of the amendment on the floor, please raise your right hand. Motion. Excuse me. Okay, all 5 voting members have voted yes on that. That's great. Okay, now for some, I don't know what to say about this. This is going to be kind of interesting.
Update.
Okay, update. First of all, we've got a archaeological survey that's being done at this time by very well qualified gentleman here in town named Bo Shriver. He may have to back out of that because of some personal stuff, health and such. But let me get the name. I don't have it here. But anyway, that might be moving to the archaeologist for Colorado Springs. And her name is, do you know, Jillian, what her name is?
Is
I-
is there a new archaeologist or is it still Anna? I know
Okay.
she's park manager
Anna.
at the garden. Okay.
Anna Cordova, I think.
Cordova.
Oh, I got one part of it right. All right. Anna Cordova. Anyway, that'll play into the story. I kind of jumped on that. But so Bo Shriver, our previous archaeologist, current archaeologist who may change, has given us a report on that. And his position has been all along that the archaeological sites of interest up in the Black Canyon are not of value from an archaeological point of view because they've been used. For example, the road up there has been used continuously for forever since they put the wagon road up there. So that doesn't have any archaeological value in the sense that nobody can go out there and excavate it and expect to come up with anything that they can verify is archaeologically significant. There's a lot of places, points of interest up there. There's stuff up there that's worth looking at, but it is not of archaeological value. Well, that may be about to change in a very significant way. About a month ago, Mike Mayo, as most of you know, as an chair of this committee, and Manny, and I forget Manny's last name.
Toledo.
Polito, yes, Manny Polito, and Steve. What's Steve's last name?
Schultz?
Huh?
Schultz? Something. Anyway.
No. Steve. No, he's an archaeologist. He's
Snyder.
Snyder. Steve Snarty. We're up roaming around. That's how some of these things are discovered. And Steve, I guess, was the first one to come upon it. Was a cliffside building and they believe that was for housing animals. But the significance of that is that according to Anna Cordova, that would be the only cliff dwelling ever discovered in this region. And it would suddenly become a very significant archaeological find. If that happens, we're going to be living under some very strict rules as to how we deal with that property up there. And
why is Robin laughing?
I know. I'm going, well, that's nice, kind of.
It's sarcastic.
Yeah, so we got this we may have, and this hasn't been verified yet, but we may have this really important archaeological find up there that's going to change the way the scientists, the archaeologists look at that piece of property. At which point we're going to have we may have a lot more strict rules on how we deal with that. So that may change quite a bit. Yeah, Nancy.
Cliff dwellings too. No, 2.0.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if
For
we should apprise Kimley Horn about this right away.
We will. And as soon as I get Anna Cordova up there to take a look at this thing and have a better idea of exactly what they have, we'll probably go up there as for an on-site visit, and it'll of course have to be public at that point. But yeah, it's not one thing; it's another, you know. But it would be a great thing in one way. But and it is kind of cool looking. And they just like Mike said. He says, I've been up there, probably walked that property looking for archaeological items probably 60 times. And this was just one of the guys turning a corner and going, "Oh my God, what is this?"
Have you seen it?
I've seen pictures of it.
So we
And
can't walk up there and look at it?
You'll never find it, first
No,
of
well, of
all.
course not, but I'm saying, could we organize something to go look at it?
At one point we will, whenever Ms. Cordova evaluates it, we'll do that. Yes, Steve.
I've been there. I've seen it. It's not hard to find. And it's like somebody, it's not a cliff dwelling in the first place because it's not on a cliff and it's not facing south because all cliff dwellings maximize the solar energy. And so it's just sort of looks like some bricks that were put together, and it's maybe I don't know, a tenth of what might have been there at one time. And they're just sort of loosely assembled bricks. And it looks like it might have been a structure at one time. And that's all.
Yeah, it didn't
Not very exciting.
it didn't look to me like it was anything that's significant, but I don't know. I don't know. You know, somebody's going to get up there and tell us whether it is or not. But yeah, we'll apprise Kimley Horn of that. I don't think we're going to act on it until we know what Ms. Cordova says.
You know,
But I
how-
thought that was pretty interesting.
yeah, it is. Do you know how long that will be before she gets up there? Do we have any, or we haven't talked to her yet?
I don't get, it's hard to get dates on that kind of stuff. We've got a number of volunteers involved in setting something up like that. But I'm in close touch with Mike Mayo these days, so I'll find out something and keep people apprised. Are we done on Black Canyon for now? I think we're moving along just fine, and we've got some good people to work on this, and we've got a plan in place so that we can really evaluate whether they're worth hiring for follow-on work. And by the way, I want to make sure I say this. This is not for any work that requires construction. That will all be done on an RFP. At least one RFP, if not many. So this is what they call personal services from them. I don't know why they call it that, but that's what they call it. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Black Canyon. And post goals. Nancy.
Yep. Okay. I'll try
Ready to go?
Try to be fast, but I didn't want to skip these two. So
No.
the packet's in your agenda. And if you want to look at goal 8, we're going to look at goals 8 and 9 tonight. Goal 8 is identify and implement creative acquisition strategies, including conservation partnerships, easements, licenses, leases, etc. It's interesting as I thought about that, you know, we've done some of these things kind of by happy accident. We haven't, I'm not familiar with how, and I was really hoping David would be here tonight, or Mike Mayo would also be helpful, but I'm not sure how licenses play into this. Maybe Jillian knows, but anyway, they listed all those various ways, and maybe one of the things we should do is find out more about, you know, what licenses in the case of acquiring more land looks like. But anyway, to cut to the chase, investigate and secure potential funding sources to augment the recently renewed open space taxes. I think more what we want to think about that when it comes to that always is that eventually our current tax will come up for renewal. And that's why we want to keep doing a good job managing the open space, responding to people's issues like we heard tonight, and taking care of what we've got, so that when it comes time for the voters to pass a tax again for open space, it passes. As far as, other potential funding sources like the open space tax, I have a hard time imagining that, other than GOCO, which we have applied to in many cases for different pieces. 8.2 is train staff, pair of an open space committee on existing and emerging alternative acquisition strategies. See open space related professional associations to provide information and training. I can tell you what we've done in that regard is, and we did last year, Judith and Tim and I went to the Colorado Open Space Coalition meeting. We've continued to budget for that. So I hope different other people will take advantage of going to that meeting this year, and maybe even Jillian. And it's at that meeting that you do often find hints about other sources of funding, other ways to go about funding acquisitions, some of those kinds of things. So I would just encourage members to think about that. That will happen in Grand Junction towards the end of September, first part of October. It might be the first week in October. But that's one way to do that. And we have, as it says in the second column, we have increased our budget for that from $1,000 to $2,000 a year. And then 8.2, develop an endowment or estate dedication plan as a plan giving program for public promotion, create a 501c3, etc. This is why I wish David was here tonight. This is something we've never explored, but I think might have real possibilities in a place like Manitou Springs, where people have been generous. I know in the past there have been donations to OSAC. There were especially donations when we were looking at trying to purchase the Iron Mountain property and trying to get a through trail so that we could finally connect with the Colorado Springs trails and Red Rocks open space. And during that time, there were a few individuals that made donations. It would be great if we had a volunteer lawyer, i.e. maybe somebody like David, who I've been involved in setting up 501c3s, but I know nothing about endowments and estate planning, giving, and all that kind of stuff. But I think it would be great to add to our kind of to-do list, especially if somebody like David is interested in it. Why not?
Yeah, we have to watch out with David. We cannot use him as an attorney.
This wouldn't be an attorney. This would just be as a volunteer willing to show us how to do it. And then we can get a stamp of an attorney for that.
Okay. We have to be, we cannot ask him for.
No, we're not asking for a legal opinion. We're just asking him to do it.
You saying, Steve, Tim, is that, are you saying it has to be because he's on the committee?
Well, I'm just saying that I've been on committees in the past that have a lawyer on them, and the lawyers often do that just, out of pro bono, out of the goodness of their hearts.
And Tim,
if any of you know another person.
Yeah, I have one in mind right now.
Great.
Actually, I have two in mind combined. They would be like dynamite.
Great. Well, Judith, if you would want to take this on and talk to those folks and just say, the idea is we want to set up a 501c3 so people can donate to the Manitou Springs open space committee.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We don't need David. We just need Judith. All right. Any other comments?
I'm just saying we have to be careful.
We will.
Of how we use it.
We will. And we don't want to overuse it either.
No,
Any other comments on this idea?
You don't want to chase them off OSAC.
Identify and implement creative acquisition strategies. Anybody have any other creative acquisition strategies in mind? Okay.
Well, that's really good.
If we find out it's the Black Canyon thing is an archaeological value, we could charge people to look at it.
Right.
Money, $5.
$5, yeah.
Right. Tickets.
Yeah, tickets.
Yeah, it's called social enterprise, and we can do that, but anyway. Okay, goal 9, ensure consistency and compliance with citywide and regional land use planning and conservation efforts. This is a big one. Ensure that open space efforts are consistent with Plan Manitou, Urban Renewal Authority goals and policies, Manitou Springs Forward, zoning designations in this master plan. There's a lot of things that come to mind when thinking about that action. And there's a lot of interface. Of course, there's interface with planning. Tim just talked about meeting with the planning director on the Bill Bauer stuff, that kind of thing. I was thinking about the Urban Renewal Authority, and I was thinking, boy, we really haven't met with them about anything, but actually we did kind of cross paths with them on the property by Fields Park.
Yep.
Because that is in the Urban Renewal Authority. It's also a source of funding if we knew exactly what we wanted to do with that property. Now, if we give it to Para, they can worry about all that. I'm just bringing that up as it's kind of another example of how we interface with all these other plans and efforts that are going on. The other thing that's going on right now is, of course, we're getting a new master plan, the new, what's it called, Judith? The Plan Manitou, a new Plan Manitou. So that's a pretty extensive proposition that will give us more input on natural resources and how people feel about open space and all that kind of stuff. So in some ways we could say that that's on hold, but in other ways, it's just something for all of us to think about. We're not operating in a vacuum. There are a lot of other organizations that we could interface with or may want to interface with us at another point. And we also had an example of that tonight with Steve's proposal to talk about the road and the Jenkins property. So we're an apolitical organization. I think we have to be careful to stay apolitical, but sometimes we're going to run into that especially when it comes to things like acquisitions and donations and those kind of things. So something else to keep in mind. And then finally, work with regional partners, including Colorado Springs, El Paso County, Pikes Peak Area Council, and appropriate foundations and land trusts to identify and implement compatible joint ventures and open space projects. So once again, just things worth thinking about. Somebody suggested tonight, for example, that our policy on e-bikes and motorized vehicles dovetails with Colorado Springs policy. Some of those kinds of things. And certainly the acquisition of the West Side LLC property in many ways was a collaboration with the city of Colorado Springs in order to acquire that property. There were a lot of discussions that went along with that. And I'm not sure it would have gone as well without the help of Colorado Springs in there. So I think we're doing some of that. And I think as we look at these goals and action plans, this is an opportunity to just familiarize ourselves with the goals and action plans, and B, just kind of put in your overall experience and the experience of the organization of how we can continue to do some of these things. If there are things here that you think are completely irrelevant that we should take out of here, I think we definitely need to hear that. At some point, the post plan is going to be probably completely revised, but if there are updates we want to make to this along the way, we can do that in the meantime. Barring another document, this is our walking papers. This is how we're supposed to function.
Hey, Judith? Judith?
Yes. Oh, which Judith, me?
Chandler. I think the other Judith is Judy.
Right.
So you were nodding your head when Nancy
Well,
said that the post plan was going to be updated.
I was just actually thinking more about other entities that we're working with, especially as like, for example, with Creek Walk, working with CDOT and all of those regional partners that we have to interface with just to get Creek Walk phase done. So adding those to our list of regional partners that we want to make sure that we include is why I was nodding my head.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good point.
You don't have any information you can share about the update of the post, do you?
Oh, you mean Plan Manitou?
No, parks and open space plan.
So, okay, so, well,
Parks, open space, and trails management plan.
no, I don't have anything
Okay.
for you at this time
I
that
missed-
segues into the
I missed-
conversation.
I misunderstood a little body language there.
Oh, okay. No, I was just
Thanks.
thinking about, as Nancy was talking about, expanding our list of regional partners that we work with. Also, the consultants and other entities that, OSAC's gotten really sophisticated in what it's taking on, and that requires more regional relationships and more involvement with things like consultants and so on. And now archaeological experts, right? So, and the list grows, right? So that's all I've got. Thanks.
So do we have such a, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Robin.
No, mine is on a separate, just my question is, on creating a 501c3, does OSAC need their own 501c3 designation? I mean, if someone in their will leaves funds to Manitou and they say and they happen to say, I would like it to go to be used for purchasing open space, I think Manitou just puts it there. And so that'd be my question about that.
That's a really good question. Like I know, I don't know if the city accepted it, but people have given money in the past for certain purposes, like in this case, it was Iron Mountain. And I don't know how that works. So that's a question. Jillian, maybe that's a fairly easy question to ask city admin is if OSAC uses, for example, I know a school district has to go through a separate process if they want to be considered a 501c3, not a district, or both, and accept donations. I frankly don't know how that would work. I think the city can accept donations tax-free. The 501c3 has only to do with taxes. It's just whether a donation made can be taken as a write-off on the donor's taxes. And I guess that's what we need to find out. And if the city can't do that, qualify for that, then we need a 501c3.
Can I just give you some thoughts, having set up several 501c3s in the past? This is a really interesting idea because OSAC, as a council sanctioned committee, I would actually reach out to Jeff Parker, our city attorney, and ask what his thoughts are about setting up a separate 501c3, because you can do it so many ways. You can actually be your own 501c3 entity, or you can be under an umbrella of another 501c3 entity, and you're just fine. For example, the MAC is a 501c3, so there's several umbrella entities under the MAC. But I'm just wondering from the standpoint of city's involvement or the legality of that, I think that we need Jeff Parker to weigh in on how we would proceed with that.
And reaching out to Jeff Parker means reaching out to Denise, because that's the only way you get to Jeff Parker.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Okay, Judy?
I was going to say, actually, when that conversation was going on, I was thinking, maybe the city wouldn't be thrilled to find out that all these little committees are now setting up 501c3s. That seems kind of like a nightmare. And maybe we do need to ask first before we even consider it, if this is
Sure.
even acceptable, because
Sure.
it sounds like it could end up being a real rat maze.
I
Well,
have
it
a,
can be, I want to just say, it can be a completely and totally separate 501c3. It have its own separate board of directors, all of that. And the purpose, which has to be defined in your application, would be something like to support the acquisition of open space lands in the city of Manitou Springs, and not, you know, not be anything under our bailiwick in terms of collecting
What
money.
I'm saying is then why wouldn't para just turn around the parks, say, well, the purpose is to just maintain and add to parks. I mean, I could see all these committees fracturing and holding 501c3s, and maybe the city would think that's a bad idea. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, and it might be a bad idea for us too, just because as lotteries have shown, when people think all their money on their taxes is going to open space or going to a different to a different organization, then they think it's covered.
Okay. I think it's time to move
Jeff.
on.
I'll
That
ask
was
around.
great. That was a great conversation. Is it okay with everybody if we move on to the next item?
Mhm.
Which is existing trails. And I think Jillian and I are going to handle this since Andrea isn't here. And the first item on there is Wildcat Gulch. And Jillian, you want to just give us a roundup of where we're at on that?
Yeah, I just had a planning meeting with Mile High Youth Corps and REMFE, who are going to be the technical supervisors for the stair rebuild. They're starting on July 2nd, which is a Tuesday. Then it'll be a 2-week project, so 8 days, because they're going to work Tuesday through Friday for 2 weeks in a row. We're going to stage the materials in Wildcat Gulch. That's the easiest location. It makes the most sense. So we'll be purchasing 60 landscape timbers and rebar, and potentially doing a portalet across the street to provide a restroom for the crew members. But again, that starts July 2nd, and we'll have our crews out there. We've let Mitchell, our public information officer, know, because that section of trail needs to be closed temporarily while they're rebuilding the staircase. There will be no access from that trailhead. So we'll make sure that we sign it and post it extremely well from pretty much all trailheads in Manitou, just to give anyone who's hitting the trail system a heads up that that section of Iron Mountain Trail is going to be closed for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
just a side
That's
question.
great. We've
Just a
got
side-
this. It's up and running. Robin, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, remember when we met with a couple right at the corner, on the side?
Yeah.
And they were building that new house, and
It's
it's
for
now up for sale. Does anyone know what happened? I mean, they were just building this new house and now they're moving.
They weren't even there a year. And
I didn't know they were moving, and I'm going up there.
didn't either.
quite a
It's
bit.
up for sale, and they had an open house 2 weeks ago on a weekend.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
You know what happened? Let me set everybody's. Anyway, I'll just share this with you. Their kids moved.
Ha!
They moved here. They built their house, and then their kids moved.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It's really kind of sad.
well, at least it wasn't the hikers that scared them away. That's what I was.
I don't think it was. I think they kind of like the hikers. They're really nice people too.
Yeah, they
I'm
were
sorry to
super
see them
nice. I
go.
felt really badly. I was
Yeah,
like, gee whiz.
I feel kind of bad too about
It's
it.
my worst fear.
Okay.
But the hikers or your kids move away, which is
Yeah, right. When you move out to the Western Slope, Nancy, this is what's
terrible.
okay. Is that all we need on Wildcat Gulch? That's great. I'm so glad we're getting that done, and we've got good oversight now. REMFE's doing the oversight and management of this, So we can all rest assured that that's going to get done well. I guess I'll take the next one, Jillian, which is the Iron Mountain washout. Thanks to Jillian, who managed the RFP. We had a really good RFP. We got 4 different companies out there. We did the walkthrough of what we wanted, and we ended up getting 3 bids on getting the work done. I think the most interesting thing of that for me, Jillian, was the discrepancy in the pricing on that. So we had one party come in at 78,000, I believe. One company come in at 40,000,
Whoa.
and then one company come in at 27.5. Is that right? Something quote very close to that.
26.5, yeah.
26.5. And as Jillian pointed out, the big discrepancy there was between road contractors and the trail contractor that was using mechanical equipment, and that turned out to be Traction Trailworks, who was the person company that we had the initial bid for when we were trying to figure this whole thing out, how we were going to get this done. So I think that worked out great, and I think they're coming on, going to start the work in September, correct?
Yeah, we need to get the contract put together for that, but they're aiming for early September.
Yeah, I feel great about that. I feel great about all of the work that we're doing now. I think we're going to have a really nice trail system. Well, we've got a really nice trail system now, but we're going to have everything pretty much up to date by the end of the year.
Tim, for my clarification, does OSAC need to vote on this project?
Yes, thank you very much. I meant to do that. We need to, we're about to spend $27,500 to, thank you, $26,500 to repair, and in your packet, let me just really quick see if I can flip to where that's at. Here we go. Both schools existing trail maintenance. I'm not seeing anything in there on that.
There was.
Oh, yeah, no, I know there is. Wildcat Gulch, and then washout. Yeah, Microsoft is doing something for me I don't want it to do, which is organizing everything by title. Anyway.
That's what you get for fooling around with AI, Tim. I'd make a motion to approve Traction Trailworks for the amount of $26,500.
Well, I just want to, sorry, Nancy, it's 26,970.
$26,970.
Correct.
For the repair of the Iron Mountain washout, as described in the RFP.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about what we were doing up there. I don't know if everybody has taken a look at that, at page.
Need a second. Somebody want a second?
I second it.
Well, this is part of, yeah, okay, somebody needs a second.
Discussion.
Judy, did you second? Okay, now we can have more of the discussion here. I don't know that we really need to, but I just want to point out that there's a map and a couple of other drawings in there regarding this, or at least a map in there. If you're unsure of where this is and the work that we're doing, that'll give you a pretty good idea of it. I think we're ready for a vote, aren't we? Let's go ahead and vote on this. Everyone in favor of the motion that's on the table, raise your right hand. And that's 5 out of 5. Great. I don't think we have to spend any more time here. Going back to the agenda. Okay, got Red Mountain. We're going to have we anticipate having some time left over for both REMFE and for Mile High Youth Corps. How much of that we'll have and where that gets used is up in the air, but two of the projects, one would be great to get done, is the up near the top of Red Mountain. There's a short section along a very steep drop off that needs to be widened somehow. And REMFE has talked us through this. They're going to put up they're going to use one of the trees up there that's been broken off at the top. They're going to take that down and use that as a timber to widen that part of the trail. It's going to be a pretty technical repair. They're going to have to rope in and that kind of stuff, but they seem to think they might be able to get this done this year. Isn't that right, Jillian?
That's correct. And REMFE, they're only going to have 2 to 3 crew members assisting the Mile High Youth Corps crew. The rest of their crew will be working on their own on this project.
That's
so
great.
And they're starting the same day. They're starting July 2nd as well. They're just doing 3 weeks, Tuesday through Saturday, versus 2 weeks, Tuesday through Friday, like Mile High Youth Corps is.
Okay, that's fantastic. They get that done. Also, there's a little bit of washout up above Wildcat Gulch. The first hairpin up there, the trail's washing out, and hopefully they'll be able to take care of that. The Mile High Youth Corps group will be able to take care of that. And then we have some odds and ends that Andrea has identified if we still have time with REMFE and Mile High up there. So we're getting a lot of stuff done. Any other comments on this thus far? And then, yeah, that's the additional Mile High Youth Corps and REMFE work. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on then. And the next thing is an area I'm interested in, and that's the Eagle Mountain Trail. And Steve, you want to give us an update on, I mean, you know this backwards and forwards on the state of the trail and what we found up there in our hike?
Well, what we found on our hike, I'd already gone and cleared a lot of the fallen trees before our hike. And then we just made a loop. We didn't go up on the Eagle Mountain Trail per se. We made a loop. Well, the beginning of the Eagle Mountain Trail we did do. And the loop we did is we went up the draw at the end of Spring Street. If you go up the Intamin Trail, right where you make a hard left turn, if you go straight, where there's some concrete structures there, that's the Eagle Mountain, the start of the Eagle Mountain Trail. So we went all the way up to where it comes out of the canyon and goes to the right. And there's a lot of trees that are down there. So there's a little bit of scrambling to get up onto the trail again. And then we went around, and about halfway on that portion is where the Eagle Mountain Trail starts. But we didn't do that. We just continued around on trails that I know about to take you down to cross the cog tracks again near my house, near the end of Rexton Avenue. So I think about a week ago, I went up the Eagle Mountain Trail, and I went up the part that I described that we didn't do, which switchbacks up to the second switchback on the Crystal Park Road.
Right.
If you look towards Crystal Park, you can see there's the road cut, and you can see there's 2 switchbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The highest one is where the Eagle Mountain Trail comes out near there. Then it turns to the right, and contours around Eagle Mountain. Now, somebody's got up there and done a lot of trail work. Because last time I was up there, it was pretty sketchy, hard to follow. It was still there, but somebody's gone up there and cleaned it up really nicely. They've even made a little like arrow pointing which way you're supposed to turn after those switchbacks to take you up to this second switchback on Eagle Park Road. So
Just a couple of things, Steve. One is I think according to what the COG put down on paper, as far as our easement on there, it's all referred to as the Eagle Mountain Trail. I don't think they differentiate that. And I understand what you're saying, that up towards the top, it's the real Eagle Mountain Trail. But just for the purpose of conversation, I think we refer to that as the Eagle Mountain Trail. The other thing is that after you get to the switchbacks up there, we don't have an easement on any of that.
okay, well, they couldn't properly be called an Eagle Mountain Trail because it doesn't go to Eagle Mountain if you're not going to keep going. But
Okay,
anyway, yeah. So I mean,
that's the way it
Trail.
appears. That's the way it appears on the document.
Yeah, I mean, you can call it the Eagle Mountain Trail. You can call it whatever you want, but it doesn't go to Eagle Mountain in that case.
It does. You're right. It doesn't go to Eagle Mountain.
It's the beginning of the
close.
Eagle Mountain Trail. If
It
you
goes
keep
to the
going-
Eagle Mountain Trail. Yeah.
If you keep going, you can make it to Eagle Mountain.
Right. I've gone on that and run into a sign that said explicitly, "This is private property. Go no further."
But you got off of the trail then because if you keep on going all the way around to where it goes into another draw,
Yeah.
then you might come into a sign that says private property because that is the only piece of private property in Crystal Park. So I think it was grandfathered in before the Crystal Park organization came into effect.
Well, Crystal Park is private property.
Well, it is private property, but this person has a portion that he can market private property. The residents of the Crystal Park organization cannot put up private property signs. In fact, the entire Crystal Park is owned by all the owners, all the people. And all you have is your postage stamp of your house.
The homeowners association.
You can't put up fences. You can't, the homeowners association. So this person who has the property where you saw the private property signs, he's the only person who's allowed to put up private property signs.
Right. There's a couple of those holdings in there, I believe.
Right.
Anyway, one of the things that I found interesting, you, Cheryl, and I went on this hike. It was a little rainy and it was fine. And we went over, we got onto the COG. There's a trail up there that's on COG property that eventually goes up to Gog and Magog, but it also drops over and goes to a point that is commonly used for crossing the railroad tracks. And always used to be guys, you have to wait for the train to go by, then run across the tracks. You don't want anybody to see you. They've put up some posts and stuff to show you where the crossing is. I thought that was
with that is if you go down to where that trail goes, where they want you to go now, the creek is too high right now to cross. Now, in the summer, it might be easier to cross, but if they want to follow through and make that a real trail, they need to put in a bridge or something. So,
yeah, my point was that now there's a legitimate trail. The COG Railway is inviting you to go across the tracks, to use that trail over there. And now seems to make sense that we have to do some work on that trail. To do some work means not doing a lot of work, but to at least clean it up a lot and make it a little bit more usable. Maybe even put some money into that one area, and you know where I'm talking about. That's very hard to get up to from the creek to the next level of the trail. just to actually, for a very little bit of money, I think you could turn that into something that was well
I
used.
disagree.
Oh,
The trail,
interesting.
the trail, it's a way to get up there. It's way too steep. And if you're gonna make that trail a viable trail that's gonna take you up to the next level, you'd have to make a new trail.
It's not sustainable as it is now. Is that what you're saying,
No,
Steve?
no, but it is a way, and I use it a lot. But it's as it is right now, it's not. I couldn't call it a trail. It's more of a way to get up.
It's steep. It's too
Yeah,
steep.
right. And that's where I'm talking about some repair would have to be done.
Well, it wouldn't be repaired. It'd have to be a new trail. You have to like dig a new trail, make the switchbacks at a lesser grade. So I mean,
New
the way
alignment.
it is now it goes like it's too steep, and it's just gets up there real fast. So you'd have to actually build a new trail. You can't repair the trail. You have to make it new, in my opinion.
Okay,
Steve,
there's a
how
part
long
of
is
it. There's a part of it that's washed out that would have to be replaced.
How long is that trail, do you think?
Well,
The loop,
the loop, it takes, an hour and a half maybe if you're hiking pretty slowly. But when you describe that trail, the loop that I described, where you go up, at the Spring Street Draw, the Eagle Mountain Trail, so-called, then you come around back down to the tracks, where Tim just described that they put up some posts to make it look like you can cross there now. That portion of the trail would be about an hour and a half hike. But if you can actually continue at the top where you describe the next level, you can keep going straight, and that trail takes you all the way over to Gog and Magog trails. Those trails are pretty steep and pretty difficult.
but they're great.
I do it often. You could go over to Magog, which is a lower rock, and you have a little bit of rock scramble to get up. Then you can follow trails that take you up to Gog, and you can keep on going. And then you come into the Crystal Park area where there's some ATV roads.
Okay, well, this is good. I'm thinking it's worth putting a little bit of time and money into that trail to have that loop that comes back around to the tracks. And apparently, you don't feel that way. That it's not worth putting any money.
I'm not against it at all. I'm just saying it's not a simple thing, and it would take more than just a little bit of money. As a trail builder, Friends of the Peak, I'm friends of the Peak.
Okay, well, you know
We build
better than I.
trails.
Where I was going with this is that there's money available. I just got an email on it today for another grant from Mile High Youth Corps. And would it be something that we will want to consider to have them go up there to see if we could get a grant for them to go up there and make that trail a little bit more accessible?
I'd rather have a professional. It could be from Rimfee, somebody to go up there and assess it and decide what it would need to make it into a bona fide trail. I would be in favor of that. But just somebody from,
From the youth corps, yeah.
That's
Corps.
way beyond the capacity of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
model.
It sounds
You
like,
have to be somebody professional, with some expertise.
Yeah, I don't doubt that, but that's we can hire Remfee to assist in that.
I would be in favor of that.
To do a new alignment.
Well, it's not much of an alignment. It's just a short section.
It's a short,
It's just-
it's fairly short.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is something worth considering. It gets us a lot of trail that we don't have right now or don't use right now, and adds it to our open space. Adds a lot of open space to our open space for a relatively small amount of money.
But
Yeah.
it's not our open space. It's not our open space.
Well,
It's the
So-
car.
It's public land. And we're talking about maintaining trails on not our open space.
I think it's COG property.
Yeah.
It is COG property, up to a point, and then it's all sorts of people's property, all sorts of organizations' property. A lot of it is.
I'd like to see us get Black Canyon open first.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
just.
gonna say, we've already got all these projects going now for the summer and the fall. And this one sounds like something that's really going to take some thought. And I think we ought to push the conversation out till the fall or something until we have some time. I mean, you've got all this stuff happening already. Maybe we should put this one just on the back burner for a little bit and look at it if we want to as a project for 20.
I am fine with that. I just want to put it out there that it's a possible way of adding some really cool hikes to our portfolio.
It is
OSAC.
beautiful.
What's that?
It is beautiful. Lots of trees and lots of shade. I like hiking in the shade of the trees.
Lots of trees, lots of shades.
But
beautiful
I hear you, Steve, that it's way more than just a small project, and that it's building trail, not just maintenance or repairing. Isn't that what you're saying?
Oh, we got Steve out there as a one-man trail repairer.
How are we allowed to put money into
Owned
property that's not ours?
It's an easement that we own, so.
Oh, okay.
It's a temporary easement that we own. That's really the problem with it, is it's a 3-year easement, and it has to be renewed.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put a lot of money into that. Anyway, it's something to think about, and
we can hike it anytime we want right now, right?
we can hike it every time you want. There's a couple of sections that are unnecessarily daunting, but yeah, I think it's a great asset up there, and we might want to do something with it one of these days. That's all I've got. Anybody else want to talk about Eagle Mountain?
No.
Okay. The last thing on our list is Fields Park, and Judith, I've been told that I have to ask you to leave so that
Yes.
you're not unduly influenced.
That's right. I'm going to sign off, and so is my dog, who for some reason has decided he's an OSAC member. He manages to attend every meeting. So we're going to both sign off, and you guys have a good rest of your evening.
Okay, we'll make a voting. Thanks a lot. Okay, so what's going on here is that, just what we said a little while ago, that if we're going to, there's been a lot of talk about what we'd have to do, and in order to get the Fields Park property to OSAC and get it as a zoned as park, one of the thoughts was that we had to sell it to Para, which would never happen. But anyway, sanity has emerged, at least partially. And what we have to do now is we have to go through the process that any civilian would have to go through in order to get a zoning change, in order to get this over to parks. I know Danu is a little upset that we have to go through all that. It's a lot of attending meetings and stuff like this, and providing reasons that we're doing it and all that. But my response has been, at this point, that OSAC we voted on this. OSAC is willing to do that, and we'll support whatever meetings are necessary. Danu right now is I think she's getting over the idea that we're being abused, and is going to be willing to do her part to do the transfer of the property over to Parab. That's where we're at right now. I don't think we're going to have much debate about whether we want to do that or not, since we've already voted on it. And I just wanted to give you that information to let you know why we were asking Judith to leave the room. Yeah, Nancy.
So, why couldn't we sell it to OSAC for $1? I mean, Parab for $1.
We don't have to. It turns out we don't have to.
Okay. Okay. So when you talk about meetings, it's just we have to go to a planning.
We have to go through the planning meeting and
planning
the
commission.
rezoning meeting
And then
and-
finally,
and-
city council has to approve.
and appear in front of city council, which is why we're moving Judith out
No
in
biggie.
order to make our case. So that's all that's going on. And does anybody have any more questions or anything about that?
Is the process started?
The process has not started. Well, only in the sense that everybody's getting on the same page. Okay. And then
We need to
somebody,
do something?
we probably do, but I'm waiting. Really, our part of it is simply saying why we're doing this, which is easy. And then we'll have to I will have to appear at, I think, 2 meetings in front of council, and most of it now is on Parab side to come up with a couple of reasons why they want the property and why it needs to be zoned for parks. That's it. Nothing significant. So we're done with that. Judith can come back online if she wants to, but she's not here. So, and the only thing we have left is Jillian. Do you have anything that you need to report to us that we didn't cover in our agenda?
Yeah, I just want to mention that every Monday, the city of Manitou Springs is going to have a new question of the week in regard to Plan Manitou. And I emailed it to everyone right before this meeting. Basically, it's a question we're asking, and we're hoping to get 200 to 300 results. The first question of the week, we only got 20 results, which is not like statistically significant. So we're really trying to get folks to respond to these super easy questions. It shouldn't take more than 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes if you put a lot of thought into your answer. But I'll be sending those out each Monday to OSAC, and please take the time to answer the question of the week to help aid Plan Manitou. And that's pretty much all I have. We covered everything else that was on my list on the agenda.
Jillian, did you send that as an email?
I did. I sent it to the OSAC email address. Does everyone get those emails?
I didn't get that one.
I saw
Okay.
it came in.
I saw it tonight, late,
Oh,
just before the
today?
meeting.
Yeah, Judy, I sent it right before this meeting, maybe 10 minutes before this started.
Oh, here it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to encourage people to do it too. I did it today and it's really quick and easy. Kind of.
Thanks, Nancy.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
No. That we didn't talk
Everybody
about
thinks
what to put on the next agenda, whatever the hell they ever say that. Items for the next agenda. Future agenda items, F.
Okay. We usually don't, but okay. What do we want?
Well, we used to.
You had one.
Yeah.
I did have one, the e-bike issue.
The e-bike issue and also the what Steve brought up tonight.
What Steve brought up is probably the big one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
can I say
once
something
again,
about
I
that?
really encourage
Hold on
people-
just a second.
if we're
Steve,
gonna-
I'm sorry. Nancy, go ahead and finish and we'll go to Steve.
If we're going to try to align our e-bike policy with Colorado Springs, I'd really encourage you to go to their Parks and Rec site, look at that survey, look at what they're thinking, so that we're all operating with the same definition and everybody knows what a class 1 and class 2 and a class 3 e-bike, it's all laid out there really helpfully for our next discussion.
Okay.
Nancy, I emailed that out as well.
Oh, thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, they asked for our zip code, so probably our responses don't count. I don't think responses are the important thing for us. The important thing is all the information that they give in the survey itself.
Okay. Steve, you were going to say something?
Okay, yeah, I have a stronger sense of urgency about this. Especially since the Jenkins are going to bring a proposal July 16th. I would definitely like to have it as an agenda item at the end of the month. But in anticipation, I would like to be able to send out that resolution recommendation that Ken Giray sent to me and that I forwarded to you, Tim. I'd like to circulate that with the board, the OSAC board, so that they can get an idea of what would be it. So it's just a proposal to buy the property if it became available for open space. So it's sort of just a placeholder so that we present our point of view regarding that property, which would be open space rather than a road.
Nancy?
I don't feel like, I mean, I wouldn't object to it being sent out with next time's agenda packet for discussion, but I think we have to be really careful not to appear that we're taking a position on this issue right now until we've heard all the facts, till council has heard, you know, this presentation.
You see, this is on a fast train because they've sent out the survey. They claim the results said that 80% of Manitou Springs is in favor of the road. They're going to put it on the ballot. And then if they get 50% plus one, they're building that road.
They're going to
That's
put
why
it
I
on
feel
what
more of a
ballot?
sense of urgency on this.
I don't know. We're a long way from building a road, I think.
Yeah, Steve,
They're gonna
what ballot are you talking about?
Yeah,
The
in the
November
fall,
ballot.
November.
Pardon me?
The November ballot, 2024.
But that, I think we're rapidly past a time that the city can put something on the ballot. I think that's just like,
Well,
I think there's sometime in the middle of
way it was
August.
explained to me by John Shada is if they put the proposal before the city council, and then city council either rejects it or doesn't act on it, 30 days after that, they can put it on the ballot.
Whoa, wait a minute. May I interject something? I'm
Sure.
not absolutely 100% about this, Steve, but I think there's a couple steps missing. Number one is the first question is 80% of how many people? 2?
Well, there was an N equals 300. So they sent out the survey to, I don't know how many people in Manitou Springs. Probably
5,000.
maybe got the survey. I don't know. A lot of them deleted the survey, but they
Right.
ended up getting 300
out of
people who
5,000.
responded to the survey, and it was more or less equal in the wards. So Ward 1 had about 300, Ward 2 had about 300, and Ward 3 had about 100. I mean,
So you
100
a total
respondents.
of 700 out of 5,000 voters?
Yes. Well, I don't know if it's 5,000 voting, it's 5,000 residents. But
Well,
the point
what
is,
they're claiming is that they have a significant result, which they probably
right,
don't.
they're claiming they have like plus or minus 5.4%, I think is what they said.
Then they would have to actually go through to get it on the ballot. My understanding is you have to go through a petition process. You can't just say.
They would have to get
No,
people signing on towards it, and they'd have to have 2 citizens of Manitou Springs, and they are not citizens of Manitou Springs. So they would have to find 2 sponsors,
Right, and then they have to get
gather the signatures
But
to put it on the ballot. But they're pretty slick operators. And if you saw the results that they sent of that survey, if you saw that flowery letter that David Jenkins sent to City Council, they're going to push this thing through as to the best of their ability.
I don't think city council's that easy a pushover.
No, the city council is going to be against it. The only person who's there's one person who's in favor of it. 6 against.
Yeah,
Well, then what are we so worried about?
Well,
It's
he's
not
saying
going to be
the
decided by city council. It's going to be
not
decided by the
only
citizen
individual vote.
who are going to be persuaded by the propaganda being pushed by Jenkins.
Well, the city council can kill it right there. They don't have to refer it for a ballot item.
No, but they can also go the other route, which is by signatures, but I don't know what the deadline is. Like you say, it doesn't go on till the day it's printed way in advance. So it's not like,
Okay, well, all I'm
I'm
asking
just
is
gonna
that
say
people,
again, I think it's very important that we maintain our neutrality till we know all the information.
Yeah.
right. I made it, I gave it a college try.
Yeah.
The 16th,
I
right?
know what you're saying, and I know it puts
pressure.
the city in a dangerous spot.
I don't think it
where-
does. All it does is says open space is willing to buy that property. That's all. That's why I would like to
Actually,
send that out.
I
to the
just
board-
I
to the
did a
board to
quick
get- okay.
I did a quick skim on it, and it says a little bit more than that, and I have to absorb it more before I know what to do. And I think this organization has to have that to study.
But if you can't send it out to the board to look at, then how are they going to study it?
You know, Steve, I read that thing from Ken today, and I also talked to him on the phone. I guess I didn't get in reading it that it said specifically we want to buy the property. The property hasn't been offered for sale and we don't have a price. So how do we know?
It's just saying that we would be willing to buy the property. That's all.
We can't buy the property. We don't have that kind of money.
Well, I mean, right. I mean, it's just more or less saying this is Open Space Advisory Committee's
Yeah.
position. That we're open to buy they might even give it to us. We don't know.
Right.
Is this property for sale?
No, it's not.
So,
But Jenkins is offering to give it to the city if we build a road.
I see.
and
I gotta say, I
the
took that
proposal-
survey. I took that survey and it was not clear what they were planning to do. I mean, you know, I thought they were talking about the north return trail off the top of the incline.
No, they're not talking about a trail, they're talking about a road.
Yeah, well, it wasn't. Yeah.
and
Steve, I understand your urgency, but I don't think we've got something in front of us that we can deal with right now, and we also just can't do it without having the opportunity for everybody here to study that, understand the issue, and
how do we see Ken Jeray's proposal?
That's what I'm trying to say. Why can't we send it out to the board to look at? For one. And for two, I will say this. There was a meeting, I think I mentioned it before, with 20 citizens who live in the neighborhood, all of them opposed to it. And they're organizing hard to go out and educate the citizenry about exactly what this road means. There's a lot of sense of urgency amongst the community right now. And I
a
think
lot of your issue sounds like it depends on a, and I'm not saying it's not appropriate, a very negative view of what Jenkins is up to. Because right now, all he said is that he's going to donate a very valuable piece of property to the city.
if
under
they
certain
build a road, it says
Yeah, under
specifically
certain
the road has
circumstances.
to be built within 3 years.
Well,
I'm confused. Is the road going to be on this property that he's giving to the city, or this is a separate piece?
Just part of it.
The
It's a
road will
road
be
that
on-
goes from the Adventures West area, or that roundabout,
Yeah,
goes up through the Walton property, across the Midland Railroad grade, and dumps out at the stables.
Who would the road benefit?
The cog, obviously.
Well,
They're not saying that, but that's the hidden agenda.
The parking
in
lot
your
would
opinion.
benefit the cog.
but that's what you're saying his hidden agenda is. But that's a hell of a jump.
Okay, what he claims is he wants to build the road so that it could provide another way for residents to leave in case there's a fire, and also to make it easier for fire prevention. To build another road. That's what he says. That's all he's saying.
It would also be an access road to make things a lot easier for the Ruxton corridor.
To bring in more cars.
Make Ruxton one way going up and a loop going out. You know, I think those 20 people, Steve, and a lot of them are friends of mine, are in the NIMBY mode right now, and I don't blame them. They don't want anything in their backyard. But
well, I'm at the very end of Ruxton, and I'm not even in that neighborhood. I'm not even anywhere near the road.
Well,
but
I'm on Pilot Knob. I'm near enough.
More cars to Ruxton.
But so, I think that it's a serious issue that needs a lot of discussion. It's not, you know, we need to look to the future. Also,
no, I'm just saying that we're not even discussing it. You're more or less just saying, oh, it's off in the future. We're not going to discuss it. I'm trying to open the conversation.
No, I appreciate that.
Well, we're not. That's not what we're saying. We're saying we need to discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to follow our procedures here. We can't just vote on something Ken Duray wrote up because Ken Duray wrote it up.
Well, where's that letter? How did you guys get it?
Yeah. How did you get it, Nancy?
He called me to see if he could put it on the agenda tonight. And I said, our procedures require, you know, that it has to be put on the agenda by the chair. But he could come and speak to the, in the comments on non-agenda items. And he said he couldn't. And I said, is Steve going to? And he, at that time, didn't think you were going to make it back, Steve. And so I was just going to say, this is all I know that's happening out there, and encourage people to go to the council meeting on the 16th. And then he sent me that document and I read it, and I, you know, didn't find it objectionable, but I felt like I didn't have nearly enough information to say yay or nay without hearing the presentation and without hearing council's thoughts on it and all that.
So are we going to be
overridden by the idea that our effectiveness as a board is much more effective if we hold our fire till we have all the information, as opposed to looking like we're in bed with this group of 20 people.
Or anybody else. It doesn't matter. I mean, nothing, everybody can agree, I think, Steve, right? That nothing is going to happen until the 16th, when everybody gets to say whatever about this proposal, right? Is that true?
All I'm saying is that Ken Duray's proposal, which he put together with AI, by the way.
Right.
And so it's just an idea. Yeah. And I think that we should just.
Yeah, but it's not an idea that OSAC should be signing
you don't
on.
think OSAC should buy that property?
Pardon me?
You don't think OSAC should buy that property?
It would be wonderful.
Like that property?
I don't know what that property is, what it's for sale for. I know where the property is. Okay. But I don't know what it's for sale for, how much it would be for sale for, whether it's anything that OSAC could possibly do. I don't know. We don't have that kind of information, Steve. And I think Nancy is absolutely right. We can't just jump on this because to show solidarity, it's not something that OSAC can reasonably do. We're making an offer here. We're saying we will put on the agenda for next month.
Do that.
Well,
I'm happy with that.
So
okay, well, that's it. We're going to put it on the agenda for next month.
And at this meeting of City Council, any citizen can ask questions.
Yeah,
I believe that it will be for citizens to open questions, but the mayor could say no. Mayor could say, City Council could ask questions, and he's going to close it because it could be a brouhaha. It could be like,
oh, that's never
house. Everybody's got. It could go on till midnight. You know.
Yeah, but I have never, including all the horrible meetings about Cheyenne Canyons, Cheyenne Cabins, excuse me, seen him do that. I know he can, but I have never seen him do that. He has let everybody vent. And he's been, I thought,
Okay, I was
very,
probably gonna go on until midnight then.
Yeah.
okay.
And if we have any questions, we would, do we need to designate that we're asking as an individual, not as a member of OSAC?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't even say I represent OSAC. You just say I live at, you tell your name and where you
Right.
live, your comment.
Right, but we don't have to worry about that as long as we're just giving our address and speaking like any other resident, right?
Along those lines, Nancy.
And
Can I call you back and ask you for a copy of that letter from Ken Dre? Because I'd just like to see it.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like, I mean, I'd like to see it too, and it seems like that's all Steve is asking. Isn't
That's
that, that's all he's asking for is if we could,
no,
I mean,
no,
you've
it's
seen
not
it,
all
Nancy.
he's asking for.
You've seen it.
He's asking for
The rest of
OSAC
us-
to take a position as OSAC.
I'm
we
asking
don't
for
have-
people to
we
be able
don't
to look at
have-
the document. That's all.
Okay, so now all you're asking for is to have all of these members look at that?
So that they can know ahead of time for the next
Yeah,
meeting.
no, I think that's
Yeah.
great.
That they know
That's
we're
what
voting.
I heard too.
What happens to the people who aren't here or get that out of the blue?
They get it too. I mean,
I
you
know,
can tell.
but they haven't had the benefit of the background of this discussion.
I guess I'm gonna, could I say something, please?
Yes, Cheryl.
So on one of your goals tonight, Nance, or not your goal, but one of the goals that you were specifying about finding acquisition strategies or sources. And then in the past, we've talked about just kind of brainstorming about who might have some land that they might want to give to us. And we even wrote letters to people. This kind of seems like it fits right in there. And that Steve, what I was hearing him say is just like, yeah, send us out a copy so that we, I
Okay,
mean, I'm curious. I'd like to see it.
the
You've
problem-
gotten to
the
see it,
problem
Nancy,
is-
and so has
the problem-
Steve, but I haven't.
The problem is we have to do this as a public entity. We can't just be sending emails around between ourselves.
Right.
That's illegal. That's outside the bounds of the Sunshine Law and a number of other rules about how we have to do business. We can announce a public meeting and have a separate public meeting on this if the members choose to do that. But we can't just send around emails to each other talking about a problem that hasn't been publicized as an event that's going to happen within OSAC. We can't do that.
This is written up like a formal resolution. It's a formal resolution. I think any of you could contact Ken and ask for a copy.
For OSAC to do,
I can do that.
that's what I was about to say. We can just each contact Ken and ask for a copy,
Right.
for him to send us a copy.
Yeah. As an
Yeah,
individual.
I think that would be the way to do it. And you can send it out to anybody you want, not as a member of OSAC, but just as a public interest. We have nothing to say about that. But we can have something to say about that if we go through the process of putting it on the agenda, examine it, and figure out what the hell it is we're supposed to vote on, what we're saying, or come up with a resolution of our own on that. But no, we can't just make a statement as OSAC without going through that public process. I'm sorry, Steve, that's the way it is.
And
So-
Ken is asking OSAC to do something?
Yes, he's asking
Adopt this
OSAC
resolution.
to. I'm not exactly sure what he's asking. I read through that and had the same feeling that you did, Nancy. I wasn't sure he was asking us to buy the property or what.
But he is asking, I mean, I don't object to I don't object to it at all. I mean, it's general enough in a lot of ways that, yeah, we'd always like to buy. I mean, actually, I had conversations on that property a long time ago with members of city council that it would be great for us to have that property. But wading into this, whatever that it is,
Yeah.
until I would love to have that property.
Well,
But
and
that
I-
resolution doesn't talk about Jenkins Road or any of that controversy. It just
Right, right,
says the property, if it became available
right.
and the price is right or donated or whatever, we would be willing to buy it. That's all.
Well, we're
Well,
always willing to look at
I
something
see
like
how we'd need a lot more information before we'd even say that. But I think the route I'll take is just contact Ken to get a copy of it and see what it says.
I
Yeah,
think-
and we
And I
will,
appreciate that you brought it to our attention, Steve. And so that's how I'll go about finding more about it. And probably I know a lot of the people that were probably at that other meeting, so I'll talk
And
to some,
that was just,
talk
that
to
was
some
just the
neighbors.
first meeting. That was the initial meeting. And it was just
When was
pulled
it?
together. So 20 people, it's gonna mushroom, I think. When
that's
when-
great. I hope it
That's okay,
does.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's what-
Okay, Jess, the chair, I think I'm going to bring this conversation to an end. I think
I think it's a good idea.
we've
Late.
discussed
Past my
this.
bedtime.
And there's what we can do and will do is to discuss this at our public meeting after we have, we can send out whatever information exists, examine it, and move on it as an organization. And that's about it. And I'm looking for a motion to
Motion
adjourn.
to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
Okay, well, thanks, everybody. Thank you, Steve. And
Thank you.
good night.
Good night,
All right.
everybody. Good night.
Good
Bye,
night.
Steve.
everyone.